In the initial parts of this presentation, I will discuss the new phenomena regarding halal feminism and Waleed Aly's participation in it. In the later parts of this video, I will discuss an easy solution for men that are Muslim whom want to go MGTOW can do so without having other Muslims shaming them. To find the exact location of where this portion of the video begins, check out the description box. It is not a two-way romance between feminism and Islam because this romance includes the government. Therefore, it is a three-way romance. The way old-school Islam works does not favor government, and it doesn't favor feminists or feminism, obviously. But if Islam was molded in a certain way to make men emasculated or feminized, then it supplies feminism with support, as others have also stated, like a voting bloc. That way they can generate as much support as they want from the people that are pretty much new to the Western countries who won't be aware or educated with these legislative laws such as the Family Law Act, no-fault divorce and so forth. Now, if Muslims become feminized, automatically, right there, due to the fact that no-fault divorce is applied by the government, the third party in this romance who may as well be the first party, then this works out well for the three parties. Governments are also going to benefit from all these domestic violence problems. Money gets generated by the family courts, local courts, lawyers, solicitors, judges, AVO breaches, prisons, bail money, family and community services, JIRTs, whom are the Joint Investigative Response Team made up of police and family community services, and the list goes on. This goes towards an industry that will extract more wealth out of men than they did last year. In 2014, the projected amount that the domestic violence industry would make in 2015 was $15.5 billion. It has only incrementally increased since then. This is a huge industry, and Waleed Aly is on this bandwagon. Waleed Aly is nothing special. He is only allowed to be on this bandwagon because he's playing a huge role in this new halal feminism, this feminized Islam. Not only is he allowed to be there, but he's also fanned on. Fanned on by who? The same people that were abusing Cassie J, whom is the director of The Red Pill. Mind you, the film The Red Pill went from being a film trying to bring light to the suffering of men in Western society to being pretty much nothing but a conversation about how Waleed Aly and Andrew O'Keefe were trying to divert the issue of male issues. There are many things that even an ordinary red-pilled man would have missed had they watched these interviews which the misandric Australian media had broadcasted. Waleed Aly, whom claims to be Muslim, makes it indirectly clear that he has no compassion for his own son Zaid.
And it was his son that passed?
It was her son who was killed by his father.
I didn't know about that, but that is interesting because it shows that there are male victims of domestic violence.
Sorry, that's the lesson you took from that? Because children are always factored into the domestic violence conversation. The point that I think a lot of people take from that is that the violence was perpetrated by a man in that situation, as it overwhelmingly is, particularly in cases where there's a fatality.
If his own son, Zaid, happened to die because he himself, Waleed Aly, killed his son, then the only one to have experienced any domestic violence would be his wife, and then maybe, just maybe, his daughter might experience some pain and grief, but that would depend on Waleed's halal feminism. This is the same logic that Waleed Aly was using whilst in the interview with Cassie J. Whilst I'm still at this point in this video, I may as well just give a head-high tackle to misandric O'Keefe, because even in the early moments of the interview with CJ, he references men in a certain way where he literally, voluntarily excludes himself from the group of men by using the following statement, highlighting the issues that men are facing, issues that they feel are holding them back or bringing them down. Not once does he point out that he's a part of this group of men, irrespective of whether he is a man going through negative issues or not.
Cassie, I mean, I think it's really interesting and it's important probably to highlight some of the issues that men are facing in the modern world that they feel are, really holding them back or getting them down.
Now, going back to Waleed Aly, if he was to apply his Islamic doctrine in his life, I mean, he does claim to be a Muslim and all, that would mean that what he has done via his own commentary in the so-called interview with Cassie J is haram, which is the complete opposite of halal. Haram is that which is forbidden. He has committed a sin, a monstrous sin, because he has just thrown his son under the bus by not giving a rat's ass about his own son's well-being. He himself pretty much confessed that his own son's death is not an issue that is on the same level of importance as the level of grief that a mother would go through. The same mindset will only highlight that 300 Muslim females were kidnapped and that we need to bring our girls home, not giving a rat's ass that hundreds of young boys and men were killed during the lead up to the kidnapping of these 300 girls. Does it not matter, Waleed, that Muslim boys were killed by men that call themselves Muslims merely because they were males that got killed? What if it was your son that was one of the casualties of death in these incidents? Would that wipe the grin off your face then? Let me throw some figures at you so that maybe you wake up from your sleep. You do know that on average 42 men commit suicide per week in Australia. Did you know that 2.5% of Australians are Muslim? That is the potential of 54 Muslim males committing suicide per year in this country. So do you care about Muslim men? It seems like you're trying to get support from a religious base where you despise around 50% of them. You have made it clear that if you can't empathize with men, that I can fairly say that you don't have sympathy for Muslim men. I would also like to point out to you that over 60% of men that commit suicide in Australia are Christian, whom you would claim to be your brothers due to the fact that you and they are the sons of Adam. That would mean that you don't care that around 1,300 Christian males commit suicide per year. Waleed Aly is fanned on by the same people that were abusing Cassie J. It was clear to be seen due to the fact that all the members on the project panel are feminists. Same old group that abuses good men such as Steve Price and props up feminists such as Van Baden. These females that were clapping for him and vouching for him at the Logie Awards are blatant feminists. A lot has happened in the last few years that has made it obvious that feminists are nothing but man-hating criminals. Therefore, if they hate men, it must leave one wondering, why support Waleed Aly? I know I pretty much just said it, however I will repeat it for emphasis. Feminists hate men, so why do they support Waleed Aly? This guy Waleed is on that misandric Australian media bandwagon, but he's only on that bandwagon because he has been given permission or a pass, so to speak, to be there. He's being used as a utility for an agenda to be pushed. This agenda being halal feminism or feminized Islam, because he is supporting feminism whilst discreetly supporting Islam. Here's a little example of what halal feminism looks like. A Muslim female rapper that is pregnant promoting feminism in the same song.
Get my karma, Nefertiti, no drama. Make a feminist planet. Woman haters get banished. Covering up her nuts on that.
When one connects the dots, one can only conclude that there is a pursued design of Islam that is being engineered, which is halal feminism. If this is true, then it looks like feminist organizations are desperate because they are losing ground and trying to find it elsewhere. This new type of Islam goes against the traditional Muslim view, where one could say that it was completely opposite of what is being portrayed today. These days, if an imam gets up and states that it is haram, which is the opposite of halal, for a woman to pluck her eyebrows, then the media gets in a frenzy and immediately tries to character assassinate this person. This happened last week here in Sydney. All the bloke was talking about were eyebrows. Like, who gives a shit? It's just eyebrows. Does Islam state this information regarding eyebrows? Yes, it does. Do Muslim women pluck their eyebrows? Yes, they do. How many women that are Muslim do not pluck their eyebrows? I have not even met one. Then why the hell make such a little statement made by an imam into such a big deal? Because there is something huge going on. That's why. There is something massive going on, which is the basis of the formation of the alliance between this new Islam, feminism and government, which is unfortunately at the detriment of white males. This is why the government is in favor of immigration, even though they may at some time act like they are against immigration. Why do Muslims just cower when the media attacks them in this way? Why so much fear from the media? Why not just simply state that this is what you believe, irrespective of whether you actually practice it or not? Why? Because there is so much pressure coming from these feminist Muslims, halal feminists like Waleed Aly, the feminists themselves who are also in support of Waleed Aly, putting him right at the front. And I should also mention the producers themselves. Who could forget the time that the producers of Q&A pretty much set Steve Price up by bringing in a man who had his sister killed in a domestic violence incident? It was pretty much an ambush coordinated in such a way that had Steve Price's back unfairly on the wall. They tried to paint him as a misogynist. The unholy trinity of government, feminists and feminist Muslims ultimately gives birth to halal feminism, which is a complete oxymoron. For men that want to remain Muslim and want a way out of the plantation, I just want to say that there is a way out. I think it would be important to address this here because this video will probably draw men here due to the label of the video. I think that it's very important that you know that many Islamic scholars did not marry. One of these scholars is known as Al-Tarmidi. I believe that this is something that blue-pilled men don't tell other men, as if it was meant to be kept as a secret. Only if you search for this information will you find this information, but it most definitely will not be promoted. There are many single young Muslim men that are told a multitude of times as they've been growing up that to complete your religion, you must get married. Other statements such as the other 50% of your religion is completed once you get married are also loosely thrown around. If you are uninformed, you will always face a barrage of humiliation, shaming, and insults unless you stand up for yourself and explain to them that many scholars did not marry. This is when their language and tone will effectively immediately change and have them saying things like, "Oh, we only mean that as an analogy or symbolic way." Smash them out of the ballpark and tell them, how do you quantify that? How do you quantify that being an analogy or even in a symbolic way? What do you calculate it against? And they will basically have nothing to add to their argument. If the greatest scholars in Islam remain single, then that means you can do it too. I've had a few of my mates at work that have been recently divorced and don't want to go back to the plantation, yet they are struggling to come to terms with all the mind segmentation that they've had imposed on them over the years, and explaining this to them caused them a lot of peace, calm, and even stress relief. What I would say to these men that are stuck in this state of suspended animation is, live your life to the fullest. Do you really want to get married to a female that claims to fear God and respects you, knowing that this is exactly what you want to hear? She knows she can flip on you whenever she wants. She knows that the government is God. She knows that putting the hijab on was only by design to lure you in. And once she has you on the hook, she's taking it off, and then there's nothing you can do about it. Let Channel 10 or Channel 7 come up to me and question my views. My response will be firm. I don't care what they do, nor do I care what they don't do. And this goes for both the media and what females do. This is when they will panic because now they can't trap you with their mental gymnastics. Do you really want to be used as the replacement for your brothers of other races or religions to fill in their space because they were caused to become expendable by these governments and halal feminists like Waleed Aly? Waleed Aly is not a friend, nor is he an ally. If you look at his name, it's spelt differently. It's like he's trying to say ally in a subliminal way, but that is bordering on the line of conspiracy theory. The guy is a straight out enemy of men. I believe he doesn't even like Muslims, nor does he like white men, doesn't like Arabs, he doesn't like anyone but himself. He is definitely part of a crew that is trying to perpetuate this new version of Islam that I've been talking about from a long time ago. Just the way that feminists romanced the male gay community years ago and recently brushed them off, they only needed an ally at the time. Now they've pretty much excommunicated the male gay community. They've still got their female gay community on board, the lesbian community. Now they've jumped on a new ship. They've created this new alliance with the Muslim community. In the future, they'll also excommunicate them when they don't need them anymore, because all the Muslim community is right now for them is a voting bloc. As I explained earlier, the legislation of government allows for all this to take place. So keep your eyes open, stay aware, live your life in a way where you can let go of that pressure, a way where you can let go of that stress. Live free, break away from the chains. Till next time, peace.